Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. In this tutorial series, we are designing this pricing table from scratch using HTML and CSS. And in the previous video, I showed you how to write the HTML, and this is how our page looks right now. Now in this video, we're going to add some CSS and make it look like this. So let's get started. Alright, this is our HTML and we have already linked our CSS file over here. So let's go to our style.css file and let's start styling this page. Now here we can see in our HTML we have this division with the class of pricing table container, and in that we have all these tables. So let's go to our style.css file and let's type dot pricing table container, and let's set the font family to railway and sans serif. And if you go back to our design, we can see that all these tables are one below the other. Now we want them to be one next to the other. So for that we have to type display of flex. And now we can see that all these tables are one next to the other. Alright, now let's bring everything to the center. So let's go back and here we'll just type justify content and center. Now we will also add some margin to the top and to the bottom. So here I'll just type margin. And for top and bottom I'll just type 30 pixels and 0 for left and right. And now the next thing we need to do is all these tables are aligned to the top. So if you go back to our original design, we can see that all these tables are aligned to the bottom. So let's do that. So for that you have to type align items and set it to flex end. And now we can see that all the tables are aligned to the bottom. Alright, now let's start with the styling of the tables inside the pricing table container. So if you go back to our HTML, we can see that we have this division with the class of table. So let's style that. So here I'll just type pricing table container table, and we'll set the width to 300 pixels, and we will set a background color of E2F7FF, and let's also add rounded corners. So I'll just type border radius and we'll just set it to 24 pixels. And now we can see we have rounded corners, and let's also add some padding. So I'll just type padding, and for top we will add a padding of 16 pixels and 0 for right, and 8 pixels for the bottom and 0 for left. Now let's add some margin between these elements. So let's type margin and 0 for top and bottom and 16 pixels for left and right. And now let's add a box shadow. So let's type box shadow and we will set the values to 0, 10 pixels, 25 pixels, negative 3 pixels, and RGBA 0, 0, 0 and 0.2. Alright, now let's style this heading. So let's type pricing table container H2, because if you go back to our HTML we can see that we have created this H2 for the heading. So let's set a font size of 32 pixels and we'll set the font weight to 900. And let's set the color of the text to 204959, and let's also add a padding of 0 for top and bottom and 32 pixels for left and right. Alright, now let's style this paragraph. So if you go back to our HTML, we can see that we have this paragraph over here after the heading. So let's style that. So here I'll just type pricing table container P, and we'll set the font size to 15 pixels. And we will set the color of the text to 001219, and let's set a padding of 0 for top and bottom and 32 pixels for left and right. Now let's increase the line height of this paragraph. So here I'll just type line height and we will set it to 2, and we'll also remove the default margin. So I'll just type margin and set it to 0. Alright, now the next thing we will style is this price. So if you go back to our HTML, we have this division with the class of price. So let's target that. So here just type pricing table container price, and let's set the font size to 70 pixels, and let's set the font weight to 900, and we'll also add a padding of 32 pixels, and let's remove the top padding. So I'll just type padding top of 0. Now let's set the color of the text to the dark color over here, 001219. Now the next thing we need to do is add a dollar symbol over here before the price. So here we can see in our design we have this dollar symbol over here. So for that we will use a before selector. So here I'll just type pricing table container price colon before, and for the content I'll just type dollar symbol, and we'll set the font size to 32 pixels. And let's go back, and here we can see we have this dollar symbol before every price. Now the next thing we will style is this features division over here. So let's go back, and if you go back to our HTML, we can see we have this division with the class of features, and in that we have this unordered list. So let's style that. So here I'll just type pricing table container features, and let's set a background color of 7DD0FF, and let's add a border radius of 24 pixels. Alright, now let's style the UL inside the features. So here let's type pricing table container features UL, and let's add a padding of 24 pixels top and bottom, and 0 for left and right. And let's also remove these bullets from here. So for that let's type list style, and we'll set it to none. Now let's remove this bottom padding from here. So I'll just type padding bottom and set it to 0. Alright, now let's style the list items inside the UL. So here let's type pricing table container features UL li, and let's set a margin of 8 pixels top and bottom and 0 for left and right. And we'll also set the font size to 18 pixels, and let's also set the font weight to 700. Alright, now let's add some padding. So here I'll just type padding of 16 pixels top and bottom and 32 pixels left and right. Now let's set the color of the text to the dark color. So let's type color, and we'll just set it to 001219. Alright, now when we hover over this, we need to have a different background color. So if we go back to our original design, we can see that when we hover over this, we have this background color, and we also have this border left over here when we hover over this. So let's do that. So let's go back, and here I'll just type pricing table container features UL li hover, and let's set a background color of ABE4EF. And now if you hover over this, we have this background color. And let's also add smooth transition. So let's go back, and here I'll just type transition and set it to all 500 milliseconds ease. And now we can see we have this smooth transition. Now let's also add this border left over here. So let's go back over here, and we will add a before element for that. So let's type pricing table features UL li before. And now we need to set this before element relative to this li. So here in the li, I'll just type position and set it to relative. And here we can type position and set it to absolute. And now we can position this before element relative to this li. So for the content, let's type blank. And now let's set the left and the top positions. So here I'll just type left, and I'll just set it to 8 pixels and top to 0 pixels. And we'll set the height to 100%, and we'll set the width to 4 pixels. Now let's add a background color, and we'll set it to this dark color over here. And now we can see we have this before element over here. Now we will display this only when we hover over these elements. So let's go back, and here I'll just type opacity and set it to 0. And here I'll just type pricing table container features UL li hover before, and here I'll just type opacity and set it to 1. And we'll also add a transition for smooth animation. I'll just set it to all 500 milliseconds ease. And let's go back, and now if we hover over this, we can see that everything works alright. Alright, now the next thing we will do is we will add this border left over here for these features. So let's go back, and let's go to the features, and here we will add a before element. So I'll just type pricing table container features before. We will position this before element relative to the features. So here I'll just type position, and I'll just set it to relative. And now here we'll just type content, and we'll set it to blank, and let's set the position to absolute, and we'll set the top position to 50% and the left position to 0. and let's set the width to 8 pixels, and we'll set the height to 90%, and let's also add a background color. So let's tap background and we'll just set it to this color right here. Right now we can see it starts from the center. So for that we have to type transform translate y and set it to -50%. And now we can see everything looks alright. We'll also add a border radius, and we'll also set the z index to some higher value so that it will be above the other elements. So let's type border radius and set it to 24 pixels, and we'll also set the z index to, let's say, 200, and this is how it looks. Right now let's style this button. So let's go back to our HTML, and here we can see we have a class of btn for the button. So let's target that. So here I'll just type pricing table container btn, and for the button we will set a background color of 001219. Now this button is an anchor tag. So anchor tags are basically inline elements by default. So we can have problems in margin and padding. So let's set the display to inline block, and let's set the padding to 12 pixels top and bottom and 32 pixels left and right. And let's set the color of the text to white, and let's also remove the underlines by typing text decoration to none. And let's also set the font weight to 700, and let's set a margin of 0 for top and bottom and 32 pixels for left and right. And let's also add rounded corners. So I'll just type border radius and set it to 24 pixels. Now let's set a margin bottom. So let's type margin bottom of 24 pixels. Right now let's add a hover effect. So let's go back, and here let's type pricing table container btn:hover, and let's change the background color to 022E3F, and we'll also add smooth transition. So I'll just type transition and set it to all 500 milliseconds ease. And now we can see we have this hover effect for this button. Right now when we hover over these tables, we need to increase the size a little bit. So let's go back, and here for the table we will add a hover effect. So I'll just type pricing table container table:hover, and let's set the transform scale to 1.02, and let's also add smooth transition. So I'll just type transition and we'll set it to all 500 milliseconds ease. And let's go back, and here we can see when we hover over this we have this hover effect. And now we can see both the basic and the professional tables are looking alright, but we need to make some changes to this table right here in the middle. So let's do that. If you go back to our original design, we can see that for this we have a dark background color. So let's go back to our CSS, and if you go back to our HTML, we can see that for the second table we have this class of best value. So let's target this. Let's go back to our style.css file, and here I'll just type pricing table container, and here we'll just type table dot best value. And now let's add a background color of 091418. Right now we need to change the color of the text of all these elements over here. We need to change the color of the heading, the paragraph, and the price. So let's go back, and here let's type pricing table container table dot best value h2, and let's type pricing table container table best value p for the paragraph, and pricing table container table best value and price, and let's set the color to white. Right now it looks pretty much alright. Now the last thing we need to do is style this image and the best value text over here. So let's do that. Now we need to position this image relative to this table. So for that we need to add a position of relative over here in the table best value. So let's type position and set it to relative. And now let's style this image. So if you go back to our index.html file, we can see we have this division with the class of tag icon. So let's target that. Here I'll just type pricing table container table best value tag icon, and let's set the position to absolute, and we'll set the top position to -22 pixels, and we'll set the right position to 22 pixels. And now we can see that the image is positioned correctly. Now let's also position this best value text over here. So for that, let's go back and let's type pricing table container table best value, and for the text we have this division with the class of tag text. So let's target that. Let's type tag text, and let's set the position to absolute, and we'll set the left position to 19 pixels, and we'll set the top position to 22 pixels, and we'll set the color of the text to white, and we'll also set the font weight to 700. And now we can see that it is positioned correctly. Now let's go back to our original design, and we have to change the color of this heading. So let's go back and I'll just remove this line of code from here for the H2, and I'll just add it down here. And for the H2 we will have a different color. So let's type color, and we'll set the color to 7DD0FF. So that's basically it with the CSS of our pricing table. Now in the next video, I'll show you how to make this pricing table responsive so that it will look good on a mobile device as well. Alright, so that's it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.